welcome to another frame review. First of all, a month or two ago I did a comparison of the HobbyIn Martian frame versus the ImpulseRC Alien, on which the Martian is supposedly cloned. There's a link to that comparison in the description of this video. So since I did that comparison, the manufacturer of the Martian, HobbyIn, took note of the critique I made and made some changes to the design, and has now released the Martian II. The original Martian, is no longer available, and all you can buy now is the Martian II. So I'd like to now bring you a comparison between the original Martian and the new Martian to show you the changes they've made. Here I have the contents of the two kits. The original Martian kit, 5-inch kit over here with 4mm arms, and the new 5-inch Martian II on this side, also with 4mm arms. Both kits come with an instruction manual or assembly schematic, and I'll just put those aside for the moment. Now I'll also pull out any of the components that are the same between both of these kits, so that we can identify what really has changed. So first of all, the purple lipstick. These standoffs, the kit is the same between both of them. Slight colour change on the smaller spaces, but essentially the same, so I'll move them out of the way. The frame screw hardware kit and motor screws here is the same between both also. I'll remove them from both kits. There are some additional M3 screws and a nylock nut in the 5-inch Martian II kit. I'm yet to find out what they're for. Probably should read the manual. We'll come back to that in a minute. The nylon standoffs, there's 4 nylon standoffs, 4 nylon nuts in the original Martian, and now in the Martian II there's double the number, so there's 8 nylon standoffs and 8 nylon nuts. This little carbon fibre plate, although the design has changed, the overall function of it really hasn't. It's now got a slightly different cutout. I don't know whether that would better facilitate passing cable ties around it, but for whatever reason they're basically the same component, so remove those from the kits. Now the insulation plate, there's this plastic or inert material that goes under the PDB to stop it short-circuiting with the carbon fibre frame, and although the design has changed along the outside edge, effectively the same thickness, and the hole pattern on them is also the same. So I'll put those aside, and then the top plate is the same on both of these. This is a little top plate that helps hold the antenna straws in place. There weren't any antenna straws in the original Martian, and there's still no antenna straws in the Martian II. I've since found at hobby shops that you can buy the straw material for about $1 or $1.50 a metre, so unfortunately they haven't supplied it still in the Martian II kit, but it's not a deal breaker, I don't think. Anyway, we'll take those out of view. Now for components that are additional. The Martian II now comes with an XT60 connector. I pointed out in the original comparison that the Martian didn't, so they've now added an XT60 connector to the Martian II kit, and so that's a bonus piece in the new kit. Now we're left with the fundamental frame components, of which I want to compare these and see what's changed. So first of all, the top plates. It's easy to see the size difference between these. The original Martian was modelled on a 6-inch Alien, so it was quite a bit larger than the 5-inch Alien, and so they've now reduced it in size, and I believe this is the common size now for the 4, 5 and 6-inch variants of the Martian II. All they do is change the arm length apparently, so it's now a common fuselage components, but it is smaller, which is good to see, I think. But apart from that, there's no other difference. They're both still the same thickness, There's slightly finer carbon weave now on the top plate. It's more like the original Alien in the look of it. The machining on this top plate is very good. I'll see how it goes through the assembly process, but it looks like it's a higher quality material than the original Martian. Now for the base plates. Now the original 5-inch Martian, like I said, had a 6-inch Alien sized fuselage, but it was also just a 1.5mm plate, which I criticised, and so it's now been upgraded to a 2mm base plate. So it's more like an Alien 5-inch size in length, but it's also quite a bit thicker. Similarly, the carbon fibre weave is closer on this new frame component than on the original Martian, and like that plate I looked at earlier, the bolt pattern is identical. So that tells me again straight away now that the arms and other frame components are not interchangeable with the Alien. So don't go shopping for Martian II parts to fix your Alien. It really isn't a clone in that regard, that all of the parts are different. So there's the base plates. Now the arms, and let's see whether there's any distinct difference here. I can sort of tell straight away that, yeah, line the holes up, and you can see there that the Martian II arm, 5-inch arm, is about 4mm or so shorter than the original Martian arm. So similarly, the carbon fibre weave, at least on the surface layers, is finer than the original Martian. Let me hold them around that way. And but the quality of the cutting looks pretty similar. It's a little bit jagged around some of the edges, not perfect, but it is a low cost frame. It is carbon fibre. I did test it for continuity, and it tested fine. So it's not a carbon fibre laminated fiberglass or G10. It is carbon fibre all the way through. So the arms are different as well. The bolt pattern is the same, but if you did have an original Martian and you've broken arms, be aware of that if you order Martian II arms, they're going to be slightly shorter, and that's going to change your geometry of your motors and perhaps the flight characteristics of the quad. So arms aside now, running out of room here. Now down to the PDBs. I questioned when I did the original comparison whether there would be enough copper in this PDB. They took that on board. I don't know whether there was or not, but they've apparently now used a thicker copper substrate in the PDB, and there are also some other small differences, visible differences that I can see. I can't vouch for that claim. I have no way of really testing it, but there is some differences. They've gone from oval shaped holes here for the XT60 to round holes, and slightly different cutout in the centre here. But overall, once again, the bolt pattern is the same. They line up. They would effectively be interchangeable. They're the same thickness, but apparently more copper in the new one. Now the camera plate, there are some distinct differences here. The original camera setup, or camera plate setup for the 5-inch Martian, really only allowed for one camera angle. There was no adjustment in it like the Alien, which has quite a lot of adjustment for camera angle. The Martian was a fixed camera angle, and I really didn't think it would be enough camera angle for example, the way I fly. It would very much be a beginner to intermediate type camera angle. So the new Martian II camera setup is a little bit different. It's still not the same as the Alien, but it's looking a lot closer to it. So I'll be trying to fit this up in a minute, and I'll see how it goes together. But they've got a plate in here that goes on the back of the 1177. I'm going to presume like it does on the Alien kit, and but it really only limits you to 3 camera angles through here, so 3 preset camera angles. So I'll see how how that goes together in a minute. Apart from that, I'm still yet to work out what these additional screws are for. That sums up the fundamental differences in the kit. I'll now assemble them and do some further comparison. I've pre-assembled the base plates, arms, PDB and insulating plate using the supplied hardware. I've passed the screws for most of the holes through from the top down, so that I can ensure there's more clearance under the flight controller, because these top of these screws are a lower profile than the nylock nut. So I've got most of the nylock nuts underneath. Now on this one I did just try putting a washer that I supplied under one of the nuts just to help spread the load out a bit, see what it looked like. It does add a bit of extra surface area as a contact point there, which is more similar to the Alien that does come with some washers to go under the outside screws. Now I've only done the screws up firm, not overly tight, just pinch them down on both of these, because if you remember in the original Martian I complained that there was a lot of free play. So I hope you can see that. I can move these arms backwards and forwards a fair bit, and that's all to do, it's even worse on this side, and that's all to do with the machining tolerances in the centre of the arm there, where they come in and meet. So the original Martian had quite a bit of free play there, but I do believe they've fixed their tolerances a bit now, or a lot, and we're now seeing only a very small amount of movement there. It's probably still just a fraction more than the Alien, but it's nothing like the original Martian. So that's a distinct improvement in their design or their quality by having tighter tolerances. We can now see that the fuselage is considerably shorter and fits inside of the end of the arms here on the new Martian II versus the original Martian, which had a much larger or longer fuselage. And something I've just picked up now, which I didn't originally, well, didn't have a reason to, but the solder pads are a little bit closer together on the original PDB here, so they're barely 1/2 millimetre clearance from the edge of the screw to the solder pad, so there could be a risk if you let a bit of solder flow over of short-circuiting it via this screw or the nut if you had the nut on that side. The new one has those solder pads placed at least 1.5 millimetres, 2 millimetres away from the edge of the screw, so that's another improvement in the PDB design. I've taken an old HS1177 camera here that's had a lens fell off in flight, and just using that to see how it fits together. I'm using their supplied camera plate with their supplied screws, and that all seems to have gone together okay. I'm a little bit concerned this overhang along the edge of the plate here, but we'll see how it goes on with the side plates now. The side plates are now held on using the screws supplied with the HS1177 cameras, and that's got on quite neatly. I've used the slots that give the most amount of camera angle. It appears to be about 45 degrees. Now it's time to put it in the frame. Here we have the camera mounted in the Martian II as it was designed to, using the backing plate and using the slot that gives the most amount of camera angle. I reckon that's about a 45 degree camera angle, which is probably about how I would typically use this. Now to adjust the camera angle means you've got to take the top plate off and the side plates off and move it to a different slot. Now if you didn't want to bother with all that trouble and you wanted it to move the camera more easily, you could always just assemble this and leave that back carbon fibre plate off the camera, and it would just be held in by these two screws, so it wouldn't have the locating slots here working for you. But I've got 3 QAVs and a bolt 210, and that's all that holds the HS1177 in those frames, is just the screws on the side. Do them up tight enough, and you can still move the camera to adjust it. So yeah, that's a much improved design over the original 5-inch Martian. I don't think I made this clear in the original comparison. I think I pointed out that the HS1177 in the original Martian just wasn't going to work. There's too much gap between the two side plates for the mounting holes on the 1177. The plate it came with was well designed to accept a board camera, but then once again, because it had the slots cut in it, it was going to be a fixed camera angle using this plate and a board camera. The frame assembly is complete. Nothing really much more to report there. I did take one of these fancy 6-bladed HQ props, thanks to Ikura FPV, who gave me a set of these the other day when I was travelling through Singapore. Now, this makes it a bit easier to see that with that on the centre, there's about 8 to 10 mil clearance to the side of the quad with the original Martian, and on the new Martian II, which has slightly shorter arms, it's down to about 4 or 5 millimeters clearance to the side there, but there is still clearance all the way around. So yeah, still run 5-inch props on both of those. Now, neither of them come with the antenna straws. This is the Alien type. It's just a black, it's like a drinking straw but a bit stiffer, and these hold the receiver antenna wires in the correct position. Now, the Alien one is a bit too small for either the original Martian or the new Martian II. It really just falls through. I found these in a hobby shop in Singapore. It was just some clear straw version, and it's a slightly larger diameter, and that fits in there pretty nice and snug, a bit like the black one does on the Alien. Probably a little bit of hot glue around that, and it will hold that in position. So that's something missing from the kit. If you didn't want to go hunting for this sort of straw, then just put some cable ties around the frame. I've got a video on my channel about how to do that. Now, just to note as well, so HS1177 for the new Martian II, whereas the original Martian was designed to use a board camera. So I think that's an improvement. I prefer to use this type of camera. Now for some of the measurements and costings, US $45 including shipping was the original Martian, and the new Martian II is a little bit of inflation, is now US $46 including basic shipping. At least it was to me. I don't know other places in the world, but to Australia it includes the shipping. Now the dimensions, if we remember, the Alien, the 5-inch Alien, was 135 millimeters front to rear and 180 millimeters across. So the Martian, the first Martian, was a little bit out, 10 millimeters longer in the motor centers front to rear. But the new one is a lot closer front to rear, but it's narrower left to right. So still a little bit of variance there to the original Alien in the motor spacings. Now for a comparison of the weight. When we did this Martian originally, we weighed it. It came in at 168 grams, so there it was with its carbon fibre plate, with motor screws and with a pigtail, and I'm now reading 167. We did it that way because that's how I'd set up my Alien. You wouldn't normally use the pigtail, so take a few grams off for that, but 167, 168 grams for the original one, and the new Martian II with the same bits and pieces comes in at 152 grams. The Alien was 142, 143 grams from memory, so It's now 10 grams, it's only 10 grams difference to the Alien, which could easily be accounted for in the steel fasteners used with this Martian II versus the alloy fasteners used on the Alien. Now to wrap up the summary, I'm not going to go too much into repeating the issues with the Martian. Let's just have a look at what they've addressed with the Martian II and what they've fixed. So first of all, starting at the bottom, it's now got a 2mm base plate, which is a distinct improvement over the original 1.5. That plus the tighter tolerances on the machining of the arms where they meet in the centre means that this has much greater rigidity than the original Martian, and I'd go so far as to say that this has even possibly better rigidity than my 5-inch Alien. And my main reason for declaring that is that the distance between these screws is greater on this Martian II. It has a wider fuselage, meaning there's less leverage on the centre point. So I'd actually expect that, presuming that there's not too much difference in the carbon fibre quality, this is improved quality over the original, I'm suspecting, based on the appearance of it. I think that this is probably stronger, or definitely as strong as the 5-inch Alien. The much shorter fuselage means that it gives weight saving, and I think it's more proportional to the overall design of the quad. It was just too big having a 6-inch fuselage on 5-inch arms with the original Martian. Flipping it over now, the camera mount is a lot better. We can now run a HS1177 camera, which is my preference, and it has a similar backing plate to the Alien, but like the Alien, the ability to remove it and just use screws in from the side to be able to easily adjust camera angle. Good range of camera angle, 22 degrees to 45 degrees, I believe, in there. Slightly shorter arms, which are also lighter and a little bit thinner. A PDB that's improved in its design, apparently 50% more copper in it. I can't vouch for that, but that's what they're claiming. They've put a bit wider spacing on the solder pads on it, which means it's less likely to have a chance of shorting out on the mounting screws, and changed it to circular holes for the XT60 mount rather than oval shape. And they also now supplying the XT60 connector, which they weren't before. So overall, yeah, they've definitely listened to the feedback and improved the design to the point now that for US $46, it's very hard to fault. The 10 gram weight difference over the Alien really comes down to probably the fact that this has got steel fasteners rather than aluminium. If you wanted to save yourself 10 grams, you could spend a few dollars and put aluminium fasteners in it and achieve a similar weight to the Alien. The true test for this will be the 5-inch quad shootout. It is one of the frames. It will replace the Martian in the shootout because that's no longer available. No point testing that. So this Martian II will go head to head with the Alien, the QAVR, and 5 other quad frames in that shootout. So the build for this will be coming up in the next week or two. Keep an eye on the channel. I'll probably put a description in this video once I've done it. Check out that mini quad shootout, and yeah, fingers crossed. It looks very promising so far. I'll diverge a little bit now just to do some comparisons between the Martian II from HobbyIn and the ImpulseRC Alien. Both are 5-inch frames. These frame components from the Alien are from my used Alien that I've disassembled, so they don't look brand new for a reason. So the Alien base plate on top of the HobbyIn Martian base plate, and the Alien base plate is still just a few millimeters smaller in most dimensions than the Martian one. They're both 2 millimeters thick, and they both have very similar rigidity. Keep in mind that they're not interchangeable, so the bolt pattern is different between them. When it comes to the top plates, my Alien top plate has its rubber battery strap on there, or mount. So I'll put the Martian one underneath there. Actually, I'll turn it around. So yeah, once again, the Alien top plate is a few millimeters smaller in most dimensions, but it's got a slightly different shape at the back here. Sticks out a little bit over the back of the Martian II one. But then when it comes to arms, the Martian II arms are thinner than or when I say thinner through this dimension, than the original Martian arms. They're now more similar to the Alien arms in dimensions, but there is one distinct difference that you should be able to see there, and that's this rounded bit at the end. So the rest of the dimensions are very similar, but once again they're not interchangeable because the bolt pattern is different. Now take a look with the motor on there, and it's easy to see that the Martian II arm offers extra protection for the motor around the sides there, whereas the motor actually hangs over the side of the Alien arm. It's unlikely that you'll impact on this side of the arm, but for somebody that's starting out, it's probably a bit more peace of mind knowing that you've got a bit better protection on the Martian II arm than the original Alien arm.